Game number one, ladies. We are looking at our lower bracket best of three between Neutron all the way on the left side of Echo Isles, and towards the right side we are having Spiral. Nightelf versus Orc, and this is a pretty important series for both of them, since the winner will advance to the offline finals. Offline finals taking place on the 17th of August in Osnabrück in Germany, in the esports factory. And it's going to be a great event. There's a lot of prize money on the line. Cash is qualified, Foggy is qualified, Xlor just qualified earlier, and one of these two players here is going to attend the event as well. I'm going to be on site. The event actually takes even place 2 days after my birthday, so it's a bit of a special one there as well. And we're going to have some of the old school players there too, like for example Taker and Hazo-Ops. And it's open to the public. If you guys want to stop by, you're more than welcome. And you can find additional information about the offline finals and where exactly they take place on Endgame Gear Masters.com. Would be awesome to see you there. It's going to be in barbecue all day, and it's going to be a lot of WarCraft 3 action. So a pretty cool weekend. Get some friends together and join the fun there. Neutron for now, as he is obviously trying to make it to the offline event, starting with the Keeper. It's a lot of prize money on the line, 2,500 euros in total. And every single player that makes it to the offline finals is guaranteed to at least win some prize money, and also hardware from AMD and Endgame Gear. So there's actually quite a bit on the line for the two of them right now. If you win this series, you are guaranteed to get some prizes. If you lose, on the other hand, then you leave this tournament empty-handed. Spiral has already had some really nice matches against Nightelf in the qualifiers and in the playoffs, but can he really take down Neutron? That's the big question now. So we're at this point on a bit of a smaller map here, of course. But I'm pretty hyped for this one. Like, this should be a great series. And the interesting part is also that we have 3 races represented at the offline finals already. Orc, Nightelf, and Undead. And unfortunately, we won't see a human player there. But the question is, are we going to see a second Nightelf qualify, or will it be a second Orc player that is going to Germany for the event? In terms of items, we have already the +3 Ring of Protection here for the Keeper, and a Circlet of Nobility on the side of the Blade Master, which he's definitely going to be happy about. I mean, it means that he also gets a bit more damage out there, and for those criticals later on, that is going to be kind of crucial. Obviously, in an ideal world, we're talking about claws of attacks later on then as well. Yeah, Experience goes over to the Blade Master, but he needs to be a bit cautious because he doesn't really have a whole lot of hit points there. Then again, that Keeper isn't level 2 yet, and we don't have Entangle for him just yet, so that means he is going to have a harder time with this. Right now, we're still seeing the town portal being sold and the Blade Master making his way over towards the left side of the map. There's already a bit of unit-only creeping going on from Neutron as he's trying to be aggressive in the main base, and he hits his level 2. And that means that we're now talking about entangle action against those peons. And that's obviously always a bit of an issue. It's not really that big of a deal compared to, let's say, an Undead player, for example, because every single peon that falls in the gold mine queue can be replaced with someone from Lumber, but eventually it is going to become a problem regardless if you lose too many of them, so he has to force them out already. And with this, we're currently having towards the, towards the main base of the Nightelf player. Not really a tech started just yet. Having upgrades on the other hand, the Ultra Vision already. And in terms of production structures, there's the second Ancient of War. So we're going to see the double Ancient of War, staying on tier 1 a little bit longer, getting those hunts out as well. As we're seeing the Blade Master just trying to get some items here. And grabs a second, actually grabs in this case, a second Circle of Nobility. Honestly, for him it was kind of important that in this case he got the level up. If he doesn't get the level up with this one, which was obviously calculated in 2, then he would have been in quite some trouble. Dust of Appearance and another circle. We're talking triple Circle of Nobility at this point for him. A lot of additional stats right now. With the Tree of Life being built. And over here, there's the immediate Owl, therefore the Scout and the Entangle that follows. But the Blade Master is still able to get away from this. Now, there was a bit of a problem for Spiral actually in the series against Foggy, where the Blade Master became the focus point of the Nightelf very early on, and especially with all of those owls hanging in the trees, the vision on the Blade Master was pretty much non-stop guaranteed. And that started to become a very big problem very quickly, and really lost Spiral more than only one game. when he lost his Blade Master a few times here. So for the time being though, having the attack down here, there's already the attempt to get at least one archer eliminated, and this one should fall. Yeah, he's gonna get that one for sure. But what else is he gonna grab? Actually, stolen away! Yes, unit gone, but at least no experience for the Orc player, which helps a little bit. That said, he might get at least that tree if he times it. Nope, not quite. Still, expansion on the left side is obviously going to be something that Spiral is going to attempt to delay for as long as he possibly can. So we're going to see that soon. We're having also now still 3 grunts in the mix. Didn't use any yet to get that keeper going. And here comes the Spirit Lodge for the Shamans, with the Shadow Hunter already popping up. And the entire attack pattern that we're seeing from Spiral usually is incredibly powerful. I mean, every single time he goes for the expansion of his opponent, he's doing a whole lot there with the watchtowers that he's building as well. He's able to get a lot of damage in with that Shadow Hunter once that he has it on level 3, and the Serpent Wards that he's adding there. Yeah, needs to move away from this one before he gets entangled again. But it's all about creep patterns right now, and it's all about trying to get that expansion into play for Neutron. He's already a bit late on this than he would usually be. In the main base, still tier 1 for him. And with that tier 2 tech that we're seeing for Spiral, he has now the Spirit Lodge completed, which is really, really solid for his part, obviously. So we have a little bit more attack against the Renegade Wizard. And we're getting Claws of Attack +9. God, that would have been a great item for Spiral, as he's now attempting to get the Augur Magi down. And with him already getting attacked, let's see what we have for the Shadow Hunter. Another Circlet of Nobility. Woo! That's actually going to give us 4 for him. There's the, by now also the Keeper starting to move in. Level 3 for him. Shouldn't really be able to scout that out. And the Scroll of the Beast for the Blade Master. There's the Owl, there's the Entangle, and here's another one ready. Spiral might be in a little bit of trouble right now, but thanks to the Windwalk, he's actually getting out of the cast range and makes it into the main base. Has actually an expansion on his own right now in play, and this one is pretty quick compared to what we're seeing from Neutron. I mean, Neutron is obviously going to start mining a little bit earlier. That's a nice move though. And, well, just as I thought, he had the surround set up. What? Really? Oh my god! That Keeper is starting to become a problem. He couldn't get the surround. What the hell? He tried it with a Scroll of Speed and with Purge, and all 3 times that he was about to close it, it didn't quite surround the Keeper. That's unfortunate. Then again, that Huntress here is at least he gets this one. So he gets the Huntress, that's worth something, but that was definitely planned slightly differently from Spiral. Now he gets the War Mill in. But in terms of army supply, we're seeing 39 against 45. Neutron is now slowly starting to get mining going from his base. Obviously, Spiral is slightly behind when it comes to the timing on his base, but he should still be able to get enough here. The focus against the tech units in particular, but thanks to the Shadow Hunter being on level 2, he gets the healing wave through, but it seems like this one is still going to die. Gets chased down and falls finally. What can he get in return, though? I mean, we're having the Blade Master now still on level 2, is trying to go towards level 3. Already, Ancient of Wonders being built down here. In the main base, the tech into the Tree of Ages has now been completed. More upgrades are coming through as well. And we're still seeing more Shamans coming in. But the problem still remains that most of the tech units were actually taken down. To be exact with you, every single Shaman that he built so far has been eliminated. And especially earlier, that was a real big problem. So, with this now said, we have still level 3 attempt on both of the heroes, especially the Shadow Hunter, wants to have the next level. I mean, again, for the Shadow Hunter, every single ability is insane. If you go up against a lot of hunts, if you have the piercing damage of the Serpent Wards, you can do a whole lot with this. But at the same time, the healing wave is incredible, of course, as well. Again, the attack right here. Shop wasn't quite taken down. Serpent Ward is already in, and he's pushing him back for the time being. But there's just owls everywhere, and that's pretty much free vision on the entire map for Neutron right now. He himself has now level 2 or tier 2, therefore also a second hero. It's the Alchemist for him. And down to the bottom of the map, this base is just now done. And he's getting additional peons in. Could have actually transferred a few over. Seems like he has a little bit of a window where he can finally start to creep a few more spots, because we're having a similar situation for Neutron as he's attempting to get that Alchemist on a higher level. But look at that item. Double healing scroll and the scroll of protection with a single shop on the map. That's actually pretty important and incredible right now. Another circlet of nobility. This is like the 4th, the 5th now that he has. I mean, he bought one earlier, but still, that's kind of incredible. So now he's also making his way over to the shop, or is he? But the attack is coming once again. He has at least the fortified bunkers now, so that helps him a bit to keep his supply up and not drop into the supply block. But there's no more creeping for him. What did the Blade Master get? Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. He's definitely going to need that one. But here comes the Orc army once more. And the Shadow Hunter is not on level 3 yet. Shadow Hunter is nearly on level 3, but not just quite. One peon down, but the scout at the bottom of the map has already sniffed this one out. There is a watchtower, obviously, and there's now mining from 2 bases for both of the players. In the main base, do we have any kind of tech switch? Doesn't really feel like it. It's just a massive tier 1 army that we're seeing from Neutron, and is creeping the entire map, or is at least trying to. He has a bit of a superior army, which really helps him to control the map and get all of these spots right now. Because some of those creeps were obviously stolen away earlier from his opponent, but now we're looking at a level 2 Alchemist. And finally the level 3 Shadow Hunter, with level 2 Serpent Wards right now. Yeah, definitely the right choice considering the amount of hunts that we're seeing there. Ring of Regeneration for him. And Neutron's army is pretty massive. I mean, he has also +2 attack upgrades now for his Huntress, and he has a ton of those. The problem is that even with the armor upgrade, I gotta say, eventually there might be an issue with all of those Serpent Wards coming through, and the Potion of Mana is still in the inventory of the Shadow Hunter. By now we're having additional items coming through in just a second. If he wants the Skull of Healing, he has to wait a little bit longer. It's going to be off cooldown in just a moment. It was really a good move of Neutron to buy both of those away early on, so he definitely has the better, the advantage when it comes to the items in the sense, and that is, Skull of Healing has been bought off cooldown immediately. A little bit more creeping down at the bottom of the map. If you get the level 4 Shadow Hunter in, it also means that in addition to the Serpent Wards with all their piercing damage, you have also a pretty nice setup because you simply can heal your entire army the entire time, and that sustain is fantastic. Needs to be careful that he doesn't get caught there on the other hand. And so far, he is still busying down. Oh guys, he might be in a ton of, in a world of pain right now. The army is moving down there. He has no town portal. There's no town portal for him. And he has double Ring of Regeneration, but just imagine if he would have moved a little bit farther over towards that spot first. That timing just works out, but if he would have double checked there, that could have been a disaster. There's the Alchemist on level 3, immediately with a copy. 76 supply against 64. And here we go. Blade Master's coming in from behind. Serpent Wards are already there, but there's the Scroll of Protection. Kodo Beast with an immediate devour against one of the Huns. But here's the aggression as we see the healing spray coming through. Scroll of the Beast used by the Blade Master as he's starting to jump in. More and more Serpent Wards are being dropped here, but thanks to the Scroll of Protection, a lot of that damage is going to be negated by the armor advantage that we're seeing from Neutron. He's at 76 supply, and the Keeper on level 4. Damage against the Blade Master is absolutely insane right now. The healing wave is keeping him alive for a little bit longer, but he needs to be careful here. Level 4 on the Shadow Hunter is soon going to be there, but the Blade Master needs to get the hell out, and he's too late. And once again, Spiral is losing his first hero. Double Ring of Regeneration in the inventory of the Shadow Hunter, but the Blade Master just wasn't so lucky, and the army is just simply overrunning the Orc player now. 70 supply for the Nightelf with the 2-1 upgrades that he has on his units, and for Spiral we're currently sitting at 42. No repair on that base either, and as the expansion goes down, so do the hopes of Spiral to win game number 1. GG as the Orc player leaves the game, and Neutron takes the lead in the best of 3 series. Game number 2, everybody. The lead for the Nightelf in the best of 3 series. We're on Northern Isles now, and Spiral has lost the first game. Neutron overran him completely on the first map with his tier 1 army. Hunts, 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 and a lot of hunts. And thanks to the scrolls that he had, especially the Scroll of Protection, plus an addition, of course, also the Scrolls of Healing, was just a little bit too much. To be honest, Spiral had a couple of moments in this game where he might have been able to cause a little bit of a difference. I mean, the failed surrounds against the Keeper of the Grove, for example. If one of those closes, then he is at least able to shut down some of the aggression, would have saved the life of a few of his shamans, and also forced a portal on his opponent's side. So moves like that might have given him a small advantage here. But the mid-game definitely belonged to the Nightelf, and he established a presence on the map. It allowed him to creep every single spot, get a bit ahead, dominate also the shop, and with a single shop in the game, he got most of the items there. Left only one scroll of healing over for the Blade Master to take later on than in the game. And it was a bit of a problem also to keep that boy alive. And that seems to be a bit of a trend for Spiral, that his Blade Masters are usually at the front, heavily focused by his Nightelf opponents, and oftentimes quickly eliminated. So Keeper against Blade Master once again, and Spiral, can he force game 3? That's the big question right now. Can he actually make sure that he at least pushes it to the third map, or is this going to be a setup in which we are going to have Neutron with a 2-0 victory claiming the last spot on the offline final? Is he going to join Xlord, Cash and Foggy, or will Spiral fight back here? Spiral had a couple of insane games. I mean, the game that he played against Foggy just the other day in the winner bracket was honestly insanity. So that was more than quite something. So we'll see how this is going to pan out for Spiral this time. Blade Master is already out. And the one thing that was incredible in particular with that last game that I mentioned was the resilience of Foggy. And yeah, I talked a little bit about Xlord in that sense, but I really feel that Foggy's spirit animal is the cockroach. Every single time you think he's dead, he's coming back somehow. So the action is coming in as we're having the first creeps taken on, and again it's the Circlet of Nobility here for Spiral, as we're seeing the first item for Neutron, the Potion of Greater Healing. And that's a cool thing of Northern Isles, that as a Night Elf player you can easily creep that spot at the side with the help of the Ancient of War, and that gives you an insta level 2. Which is pretty sweet, obviously. Can immediately rely onto the Entangle on the Keeper, and therefore also make sure that when your opponent is starting to move in against you, you can pressure the hero even more. And especially the Blade Master didn't really have a big effect in most of the games that we've seen between these two players, not only the first one now in this particular series, just simply because thanks to the vision that those hunts give the Night Elf, you are in a spot where you can always work against the Blade Master quite quickly, and that pressure has actually eliminated the Blade Master of Spiral several times in the past, in the qualifier and also in the playoffs themselves. That, on the other hand, is a good start for him. Taking an archer down immediately with the help of the creeps there too, that definitely helps. And a bit more damage against this, and this is making sure that it's much tougher now for Neutron to get value and get his hero a little bit higher. So already the attempt to just ensure that he can also get a potential split in. So that was actually a nice move. So once again, if you're a little bit newer to WarCraft 3, if you haven't really followed the game the last years, this was a pretty nice move where he just simply moved onto the spot where the Grunt was at the surround, and then he popped out of the Windwalk and pressured the Grunt out of that position straight towards the side, and he himself could then easily move out again. So nicely done by Spiral here. And doesn't lose the Grunt. A little bit of mana was absorbed. And here by now we have the second Ancient of War. Neutron just does this, where when a tactic works, it just works, and he just continues with it. We've seen this in his games against Undead. He's going for the exact same style. Actually, it's not quite true. He started deviating away today a little bit from the strategy that he pulled off in the qualifier. A slightly different tag pattern, more so oriented on what Foggy has been doing against Undead recently. But generally speaking, his openings are fairly much the same, and we always have him with the Demon Hunter as the second hero against Undead, whereas a lot of the other Night Elf players will go straight into an Alchemist then later on. The Blade Master on level 2 now, with a double Circlet of Mobility as well, so that helps him too. And he gets a Ring of Protection +4. Yeah, guys, when you're out there, you should always have protection. Maybe that is going to keep Spiral's Blade Master alive a bit longer in these fights. All the way up to the top. Guess what? Tree of Life. Shocking. It's exactly the same opening, more or less. A little bit quicker, actually, on the tree this time. So the expansion in the last game was comparatively late to what we normally see from him. Talking about also tech, again the Shaman opening here with the Spirit Lodge, so relying on the Purge, and the Shadow Hunter is coming in too. And I really feel that with this setup, it's very unlikely that we're going to see the early expansion again from Spiral. I think that's more so going to go straight into a fight at the expansion of his opponent. And I like the aggressive style for him personally a lot more. It just feels when he's the one who's trying to drive the agenda, he's usually a little more successful with this. The Entangle over here is already strong, and the Blade Master denies the experience with a quick hit there towards the end. But another grunt gets entangled too. In this case though, with the Shadow Hunter coming out, they might just be able to save this one. And there already is a lot of pressure against the Keeper himself. And that is actually a bit of a problem for him now. Grunt with another Entangle doesn't even need that. This one is still going to fall here. But there's the last one as the mana pool is drained empty off the Keeper already. Another Hunt a little bit low, but most likely not going to fall here. And 3 Grunts have now been eliminated through this. So we have 33 supply against 22 as Spiral is falling farther and farther behind in the supply patterns. Now in his own main base, we're still seeing him, well, with a completed Spirit Lodge and the first Shaman being trained. But in terms of units, he doesn't really have too much. There's a bit of a scout happening on the map with the Pia now moving in, but I don't think he even saw the expansion. Not that he necessarily needs to. I mean, he's probably already anticipating it, spotting in the main base the tech onto the Tree of Ages, and can deduce from the timing, of course, and also the amount of units on the map that we're definitely having a second Ancient of War against him. In addition to that, that needs to be an expansion at some point, or the tech would have been way, way quicker. Blade Master is going to hit level 3 with this. Has now also the Scroll of the Beast in the inventory. And with level 3 he can now start to make his way across map and see if he can at least steal something away here. It's a little bit unlikely, to be honest with you. Still a bit of scouting going on with the Keeper, but up to the top and now having also the base pretty much secured. A bit of scout going on also with the Crystal Ball here. And there's another owl straight in the tree, and that's exactly where we see the Blade Master headed, and whew! Yeah, he just moved out, sees everything he wants to see, and rushes away just before the Keeper is able to get the Entangle through. That one was important. But actually, as I say that, he moves straight in for it again. And, well, is he gonna get away from this? Another Entangle hits home, and this is exactly the situations that I've been talking about. Blade Master's in a bit of trouble. Can he survive, though? It seems like he can. Yep, last Entangle doesn't go through. But those are the moments where Spiral really seems to be toying with fire a little bit. Obviously wants to take some of those Wisps down, and he gets a good kill here. And the Detonate, so that's 2 eliminated. Fighting that tree, on the other hand, is probably not going to be the best decision. But yeah, getting 2 Wisps is already great, but he needs to be careful. He doesn't have a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. He doesn't have a Staff of Teleportation. If he had any of those, it might be a bit more sustainable for him. And now the next problem is that this army needs to get the hell out of there. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Scroll of Speed already being used, and he is able to get out. That could have been an absolute disaster again. And in terms of shops and items, we actually see him now with the earlier Scroll of Healing. Spiral is sitting at 39 supply against the 45 that we have for Neutron, who now has the gold mine nearly entangled. So once that's the case, we can see him also with the mining from 2 bases, which we're definitely going to see here. So the base down here has obviously been grabbed earlier too, so this means that a base can be supplied whenever Spiral starts the attack, because this was the game or the map where he played against Foggy and nearly took the strong player, the strong Nightelf, down. Can he make it happen against Neutron in Force Game 3? That's a bigger question. Still a little bit of extra damage here on the hero. Archer is already down, the rest of the army is already on the run. And yeah, that's pathing for you, but here come the peons. Uh-oh, that's a problem. Yep, not only the peons come in, but also the shamans. And he might have to go for the Zeppelin, and does exactly that. Okay, I like that quite a lot. Purges his own shaman and then moves out. That was actually a cool move by him, and that is fantastic, because right now he has a chance to take a few of those hunts down, and that will empower his own push against the expansion by quite a bit. So nicely done here. Really, really nice move that we just saw there from Spiral, saving the situation and turning it around against his opponent. And yep, that hunt is eventually going to fall as well, thanks to the Windwalk. A little bit more attack down here. Problem is, of course, that all that Neutron has to do right now is buy time. I mean, Spiral was always already ready for the attack. Wanted to go up to the top. Had a couple of peons in the mix too to build a shop and build another watchtower, as he usually does with this attack. But he needs to do that now, because if he waits too long, then he is going to be in a huge amount of trouble. And look at Neutron. Neutron is just sitting there just saying like, yeah, you start. I'm going to attack your base, and then I'm going to force you back. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. And eventually you're going to have lost so much time that my own tech is completely through. I'm going to get my upgrades, and I'm going to be able to save that expansion without a problem. That's exactly what he's doing. He's just playing a little bit of a game here. we should still see a few units fall every now and then, but do you honestly believe that Neutron cares about losing a hunter every now and then? If he can buy himself time where his expansion doesn't get attacked and he can just capitalize on the double income that he has, that's all that he needs to do here. Now, the Shadow Hunter still wants level 3, and if he gets that through the Force of Nature trained here, that would be great too. But as you can tell, Neutron is still sitting at the side and is saying like, okay, let's move in again. He's using that crystal ball nearly perfectly here as well. Yep, there's another PN down, and yeah, Spiral is sitting in this position where he's saying like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? He has one watchtower that he already built for exactly that reason, so that's going to help him. And he's just saying, okay, I have to attack right now. And he really has to. I mean, he's at 48 supply, and he's up against an opponent that's sitting at 59 right now. He needs to go for an attack. And here builds already a second watchtower, and I really like that choice. He has to bunker a little bit. If he doesn't do that, then he's in trouble. He's going to lose his barracks, though. And he's probably going to lose a little bit more. But he's probably willing to trade that if, in addition to that, he can at least take down his opponent's Tree of Life. And that's going to be very likely. There's already the Lightning Shield so that he can take down all of those Wisps. And there's the Portal Force. Spiral with a great counter here. I really like this. Well done by him. But now he needs to deal with the army. Yeah, needs to... Well, he actually just goes for the snipe. Doesn't go for the army, just goes for the snipe and portals out and says like, dude, screw you. Two can play at that battle. That game is easily been played by two people. You're not the only one who can try and go for hit and run. I can pull that off too. Moves in, takes the expansion down. Now he's the one with the better tech and the better army since he has the tier 2 army. Doesn't really have a lot of upgrades on his army, only one armor upgrade. If you compare that to the 2-1 that we're seeing for Neutron, it's obviously a bit of a disadvantage. But I like what he's doing with this. I actually really like what he's doing with that right now. So still needs to prove that he can fight this through. Yeah, and needs to also keep that Blade Master alive. You've known how this has turned out in the last few fights. There we go, level 3 with level 2 wards on the Shadow Hunter, and the Hunts are slowly starting to fall here. And that piercing damage is starting to hurt. One eliminated, another one dropped down, but there comes the Scroll of Protection again. Massive armor is now in, but the healing wave from Spiral's Shadow Hunter is coming through. This is looking way better now for the Orc player. 47 against 51 supply, level 4 on the Blade Master. He's looking fantastic. The Alchemist with the Potion of Lesser Invulnerability in the inventory has to pop that as well to keep himself alive, but the rest of the army is just getting absolutely shredded. Spiral with a great game right now, eager to get to game number 3 in this series. A few of the grunts are still falling, and the Blade Master is now under pressure, and he needs to save that Blade Master. The Alchemist falls, the healing wave comes through, and there's the GG as Neutron has to leave the game, and we are headed into a deciding map in this best of 3 series between Spiral and Neutron. The final map in this series, ladies. It is time. Concealed Hill is the map, and this is what it comes down to. The winner of this map goes to the offline event in Germany. The loser will drop out of the tournament. Spiral able to take the game against Neutron on the last map on Northern Isles, and now the big question, can he pull it off again? Down to the bottom of the map, we're having Neutron right now. His style didn't quite work out in the last game. I mean, I really liked his attempt to keep the undead player, the Orc player in his own base for as long as possible, so that his base, his second base, would work out and pay off. But Spiral did this actually really well. Immediately put a watchtower down, already started the second one, and then went up top for the quick snipe against the expansion. I definitely didn't even think he would take the fight there, but he decided against it. But just sniping the base and moving out worked wonders for him. Was able to set up a second attack shortly afterwards, and that fight just really turned in his favor. I mean, having the heroes on a higher level, also getting the heals through was great, and the tier 1 army of Neutron at this point just didn't cut it any longer. At least not with him not having the massive number advantage that he had in game number 1, for example. So now we're looking at the Blade Master as the first hero again, and obviously for the Nightelf we're starting things off with the Keeper again. The Keeper of the Grove grooving around on the map, and the one archer opening with the Ancient of War. This is what it all comes down to. Spiral made it into the playoffs by actually going up against Foggy in one of the grand finals when he made it into second place. Neutron, on the other hand, was able to win an entire tournament and came in second once. So he had a really nice seeding heading into the playoffs too. But this is what it comes down to. Both of them lost in the winner bracket. We have them now down in the lower bracket. And with Spiral and Neutron being tied in this series, it means that it is one last map, one last win, one last battle. So any decision that you make right now can be your last. One mistake and you are out. There's a clause of attack +6. Blade Master would have loved to have that item. But in this case, it's actually Neutron that walks away with it. It comes down to the crit, seriously. If the Blade Master gets some good items here, he can do a lot with this. And he gets a claws too. He gets claws as well. And those are obviously calculated into the crit damage since the recent patch again. Previously, it was only the stats damage that was actually calculated into that. But in addition to that, we are now also having the tech into tier 2. Yep, right away. No delay on that. Town Portal once more sold. And items secured with healing selves and also scroll of speed for him right away. So we're having down to the bottom of the map still the expansion now being crept, the camp taken away from Neutron. The Wisp is already hanging in the trees here, and there's the level 2 for the Keeper, as the Blade Master is still trying to take a couple of spots here on the right side. So Bladey pretty much creeping solo at this point, not going for any kind of harass just now, and just trying to go again for items, for a little bit of experience, and also the tombs in addition to that. Talking about, by the way, items, the Gnoll Overseer at the bottom of the map is now also soon going to be taken down. But so far, no aggression from the Blade Master. And again, if the same style is employed by Neutron again, then we're going to see just owls everywhere once more, spying everything out, and it makes it difficult for the Blade Master. And there's another claw. +9 for him now. Jesus, just imagine the Blade Master with these items in the early stages already. That would have been fantastic for him. Now, having an additional circle of ability is nothing to frown upon either, but obviously we're only talking about +8 damage at this point in time. So if the Blade Master can take a little bit more of those damage items, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with against the archers in particular, and also the Keeper, who obviously is also suffering against those crits quite a bit. But now with that said, we're still having the expansion build rather quickly from Neutron, and that will set Spiral again into a position where he is going to try and be aggressive. He played, if I'm not mistaken, the game against Longwalk on this map too, where he was able to take down the expansion down at the bottom of the map. Wisp is getting attacked, taken down, and he is going to force a bit on damage onto this one. There's already the Staff of Teleportation being employed. There's the first Entangle. But again, the rest of the army isn't here yet. So he's still attacking. Spiral again needs to be a bit careful. There's not really a lot of vision yet, but he's draining the mana pool of his opponent with this quite easily. And there we go. Has to windwalk away from this one. Does do that immediately and gets out. But he got a little bit of damage onto the Tree of Life. He took down one of the Wisps, so that already counts. We're having the second hero now trained in the Altar of Storm. Stronghold is done, so we should see, yep, the Spirit Lodge, and there it is. Same strategy for him again, as we're having down to the bottom of the map. Neutron just starting to heal from the Moonwells. And in case that you were actually wondering, if usually you drop items when you are going for the heal on the Moonwells, because it reduces, depending on the item obviously, your max mana pool or your max hit points, and then you just heal up to full and you grab the items again, and that pool is going to be put on top of that, so it helps you to drain less from Moonwells, just to give one example here. Blade Master still on the way down to the bottom of the map. Again, Tree of Life shouldn't be able to do too much here. Gets another few hits in, but I would be surprised if that tree is not going to get repaired soon. If anything, I could have seen him maybe try and make a play for the Haunted Goldmine, but chasing a couple of archers would be great too, especially since right now he has the Dust of Appearance. So he can start to drain the Moonwells a little bit from the Nightelf player. Up at the top, that attack is probably not going to be too successful. I think he's going to get one grunt there, but we have the Shadow Hunter here, and there's a second Entangle now, so one grunt down, trying to work for a second one. The aggression down here at the bottom of the map is going to be successful against the archers, because as mentioned before, we have Dust of Appearance. Needs to move that one away from the tree, on the other hand. You don't want to face a tree there. That, then again, is a bit of an issue. Don't want to lose that many units just against that small harass that we're seeing there. And yep, is going to lose this one very likely as well. Well, the Grunt is going to fall eventually, isn't he? Yeah. No! The Grunt alive! What the hell? Keeps him in play. This one is likely going to fall. And the Grunt still on the run. Finally taken down, but it seems like the Hunt might get killed too. Blade Master in the meantime has been busy at the bottom of the map. But I really think that in those instances the micro of Spiral could be a little bit better there at the top. Every unit counts there. And he's been losing quite a bit. Has lost a couple of Grunts. And the problem is that you're not gonna get a whole lot out of just simply damaging units because we have 2 fountains on this map. And that's the big problem. So the Blade Master now on the way back. Spiral is at 35 supply. Neutron on the other hand is at 39. Is just now rebuilding this. And thanks to the Windwalk he's able to get away. As it seems. Yeah, no additional owl coming through. I don't know how many Wisps he was able to take down at the bottom of the map. He definitely pressured his opponent quite a lot. But a lot of the Grunts have actually fallen. Oh, and there is actually the Scroll of Speed as he's trying to make his way in to drop another Huntress. And he gets this one. Can he get a little bit more? If the Shaman get closer, he might be able to drop another Purge. Well, not quite. 39 supply now against 37. Not really too bad for Spiral, seriously. I feel like he could have lost less Grunts there at the top. I think he lost 2, 3, so could probably have lost a little bit less. But at the same time, he took down a few Huntress, and he was also able to still occupy his opponent at the bottom of the map, where we now have an Ancient of Wonders being built. And the whole concept for Spiral is obviously to creep his heroes a little bit more and then to set up an attack by himself. And there's the level 2 for the Shadow Hunter. The Blade Master hasn't reached level 3 yet. He's still sitting at those +8 damage that he has. But over here we're having a creep attempt by the Nightelf, who actually is getting also locked down by the Trapper. So this is another potential kill for Spiral. Could take one of the Hunts down. This one is already low. Can he actually get the kill? Doesn't get it quite. Yeah, and now he needs to be careful too, because he's starting to lose his Shamans again. That one is already falling, and the fight is still ongoing here, as both of the players are absolutely dedicated to the battle. Another Entangle coming in against the tier 2 units of Spiral, and he's losing quite a bit of ground. 41 supply against 45. More units falling. Also, the creeps are now chipping in too and dropping another Grunt, as we're seeing one Hunt after another getting dropped, but a lot of them are also escaping back to safety. An attack against the Keeper might be successful here, but he doesn't have any Shamans anymore that he can use for the lockdown. 44 supply against 39, and most of the tier 2 units have actually been eliminated now from Spiral, so he doesn't have a lot that he can use in this battle here. This is starting... gets another Hunt. That's actually quite important. Honestly, Spiral is starting to lose a bit of ground, and the biggest problem that Neutron has is the lack of lumber. And that obviously comes because, or to an extent at least, because the Blade Master was able to take a few of the units down earlier, the Wisps that he eliminated when he was attacking that base. But we're looking at a player that has now 2 scrolls of healing, that is soon going to add the Alchemist to the entire setup here. And it's going to be a little bit rough for Spiral to really break through. He needs more experience, and that's why he's going straight in for the attack against the Orgalord. Gets the Medallion of Courage. Not really the best item for him here. He needs agility for both of the heroes, but passes it over to the Shadow Hunter. Gets some experience, of course, with this as well. But the end goal has to be to set up an attack against his opponent. And he has 2 Shamans back in the mix, but he needs to get those heroes a bit higher. Especially the Shadow Hunter needs to hit level 3 if he wants to set up a successful attack against the bottom of the map here. That has to be a given. And obviously Neutron is preparing for exactly that attack. In terms of upgrades, he's sitting at +1 attack upgrades. We're having him with a Keeper on level 4 now, and the Scroll of Protection has now been taken as well by him. Talking about scrolls, we have 1 Scroll of Healing for Spiral, and he has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. The Shadow Hunter then again has reached level 3, and oh, that's a good item for him. Okay, now we're talking. Potion of Greater Mana is definitely a fantastic item for Spiral when he wants to set this attack up. That's a great one for him. He has no peons with his match just yet. Well, there comes one. He usually builds at least 1 offensive Voodoo launch, and is normally trying to also put a Watchtower to the test here. So it's still a very similar setup. Spiral at 50, Neutron at 65 supply, and there's the attack against the Hunt again, and he gets 1 more. Unit by unit, piece by piece, Spiral is trying to get it. And we're having Neutron setting up his defense right now. He's setting everything into action, and obviously has a lot more worker supply than his opponent because of the second base, but at the same time, there is still the matter of all the scrolls that we're seeing in the inventory of him. Drops the early Moonstone now too, and is trying to set this up as we're having Spiral slowly moving in. waiting just a little bit longer, setting the first few Serpent Wards up on the outside. In come the Wisps for the detonate, has to split a little bit, and there's the first detonates, and he's trying to drain the Shamans dry. At this point, again, the Shadow Hunter with a potion of greater mana, already using it and dropping just one Serpent Ward after another. In come those crits from the Blade Master, but he gets attacked again. Spiral at 46 supply against the 62 that we're seeing from Neutron. Another healing wave coming through as the Orc player is trying to keep his army alive, but most of the units at the front have already bitten the dust here. Spiral is again starting to lose hit points on the Blade Master. Scroll of Healing has already been utilized by him, but more and more grunts are falling. Huntress, on the other hand, are also getting focused down right now by the piercing damage on the Serpent Wards. One falling, another one finally also dying, as Spiral is still sitting at 45 supply, but Neutron on 62 is starting to push him back. Most of the grunts are already gone, which means that it's hunting season on the Shamans. And the Huntress, together with the Archers, are focusing everything down. Their kill against the Blade Master, and there's the GG as Neutron qualifies for the offline final of the Endgame Gear Masters. Spiral taken down. A 2-1 victory for the Nightelf player on the third map.